shit. So it's crazy.
Well, the community showed up at the council meeting and spoke loud and proud.
Oh yeah.
Last night, yeah.
We light it up like sauce and sauce and sauce. We light it up like sauce and sauce and sauce. Fli-City got some dogs in it, dogs in it, dogs. Fli-City come off authentic, authentic. We light it up like sauce and sauce and sauce. We light it up like sauce and sauce and sauce.
My city experiencing a transition from penny pinching, maximizing our dollars, multiply triple digits. I came a long way from baby jars in a project kitchen.
Get away with it, but we ain't got to roll over and let them just go.
Nah, you have to do the right. You know, it's an everyday struggle. I think, you know, that's been the commonality of this, you know. Folks and folks still, you know, seem to keep forward. You know, it just be a frustrating thing sometimes.
Well, sometimes sometimes you got to play an inside game and an outside game, you know. And sometimes don't put that on.
I mean, no, you'll do the right. Peace and blessings, everybody. We're getting all set up here in the studio, working through some kinks right now.
Financial freedom in America makes sense.
Our
Y'all, hey, this is Dana.
Our stand-up strike strategy is designed to do one thing: win record contracts after years of record profits. We're focused on moving the companies at the bargaining table. That means maintaining our flexibility and our leverage to escalate as we need to. We can and will go all out if our national leadership decides that these aren't willing to move. Right now, we think we can get there. Stellantis and GM in particular are going to need some serious pushing. Obviously, going on strike isn't something we take lightly. It's not something you can do strategy.
Terrible connection. Great.
Under job security, we're fighting like hell to keep good jobs in America. Our stand-up strike strategy.
Working with a new system, everybody. Trying to get it all squared away.
Our stand-up strike strategy is designed to do one thing: win record contracts. Our stand-up strike strategy record profits. We're focused on moving the company at the market. That means maintaining our flexibility and our leverage. We light it up like arson and sauce and sauce. We light it up like arson and sauce and sauce. Fli-City got some dogs in it, dogs in it. Fli-City come off authentic, authentic. We light it up like arson and sauce and sauce. We light it up like arson and sauce and sauce.
My city experiencing a transition from penny pinching, maximizing our dollars, multiply triple digits. I came a long way from baby jars in a project kitchen.
Good evening, everyone. Thank y'all for, working with us. We just got some new equipment, so it was just technical difficulties taking place. We just wanted to make sure that we have it all set up, all ready to go, so folks can definitely view the taping and the show, the broadcast, Fli-City Blackout. Nevertheless, right, we always have challenges in life. And I think even this show that we was even talking and discussing today was about a lot of the challenges that's going on just in general, not only just in the city of Flint, but just overall, right? When you're talking about what's going on with GM, when you're talking about the developments here in the city, it's just a lot that's just been taking place, and so we want to make sure that we expand on that and really kind of comment on some of the local issues, but then national, right?
Yeah.
So welcome you to the Democracy Defense League. I'm here with our beloved Ms. Claire McClinton. I'm holding it down, real soldier, big stepper here on the field for a long time. And so we'll be kind of discussing a number of different details and information we have to share with you. Just kind of have a general conversation.
Sure. Well, I want to thank Fli-City Blackout, Dewan Robinson again for giving us an opportunity for this platform. And there's a number of podcasts around the city and in the area. And in these times, we can't have too many. So the more the merrier is what we say, because there's so much to cover, and we need as many ways for people to be heard and information to be disseminated to people. Well, I wanted to start out, we had some bad news just now, hot off the press, and you can go to ABC 12. Apparently 5 strikers got hit by a car out at Swartz Creek at what some of us know as GMSPO. So that was the word that we have so far, is that nobody was seriously injured. A couple of people were taken to the hospital, but according to the news, there was no serious injuries. And it was told that one of the employees that was leaving the plant felt like the picketers were in his way, so he just ran over them. That's what the news said. He just hit them. So it's a lot of stuff going on. So we hope and pray that they're okay and everything. And we have to keep vigilant, because these are intense times and things can get out of hand in a flash. So I wanted to report that. And I also want to report of how proud I am of Flint residents who's showing up at the city council meeting despite a tidal wave of dysfunction on the city council. And but the residents continue to show up and demand justice and demand the opera funds to take care of our people. And so it's something that we must continue to follow in this day and age of media. We don't have to always be right there and we can still go back and follow it because we have to keep up with what's going on. They want us to be uninformed and silent. This is what they want. And I'm proud that the residents of the city of Flint refused to be silent. They weren't silent about the Ashley Capital. People are very indignant about giving us $72 million. Let me say that again, $72 million tax abatement to Ashley Capital. And there were some meetings. One was at Hasselbrink where the community came out and really spoke out and stood up for themselves. And we have to stand up for ourselves. So tonight, our main topic is going to be the UAW strike. And we're going to look at that strike because we need to understand what the strike is about. And we need to understand how the what they're after. Are they striking just to be striking? They want more money, or what's the thing that's driving this strike? And one of the main things that's driving the strike is, those of you who remember in 2008 when GM went bankruptcy, they exacted a pound of flesh out the workers in order to get out of bankruptcy. They took our retirement health care. In 1970, there was a strike against General Motors, and we won retiree health care.
Okay.
That was taken in 2008 and 9 because GM went bankrupt. So that was taken away. So they wanted you to be retired and just wait till you get 65 and get Medicare with no supplement. Now, for those of you, the younger generation may or may not understand. Everybody gets Medicare when they get 65, regardless of where you worked. When you age 65, you get Medicare. But if you was a GM retiree, when you turned 65, you got Medicare, but you also got prescription drugs, eyeglasses, dental, and those type of things. And all you'd have to do is go to a drugstore and go to the prescription counter, and we have seen people who don't have their employee health care, they just have Medicare, and they need medicine, and they will say, well, just give me half my prescription, because they had to pay out of pocket. Whereas we at GM retirees did not. We pay a little something, but not, the whole thing.
Right.
So that was something they took away from us during the bankruptcy. They also set up what they call tiers, TIERS, tiers. What are tiers? Tiers are what the company implemented in order to not pay you full wages and benefits. There was a time when you went to General Motors, when you hired in, if you got 90 days in, you became a full employee with the full pay, the full health care, and all and everything else. But with these tiers, people would hire in for way less than what a regular GM worker made. And they did not have the benefits and everything. And I remember in 2019, when they went on strike, they talked to one of the employees, a young woman that was in one of the tiers. She had a baby. When she had her baby, they cut her health care off completely. She did not get no paid sick leave or none of that. So she had to rush back to work just as soon as she was able after having a baby. And this is something we never even thought about if you got a good job at GM. Not having no help, just soon as you get well, get back in there because you don't have no income. That just was unheard of. So this is some of the things that the UAW today is saying enough is enough. We gave up all these benefits and concessions to you to help pull you out the bankruptcy you said you needed to get back on your feet. And here you got Mary Bear, head of GM, making $20 million a year. And these other CEOs making exorbitant salaries and things like that. But I think what's important for us is that we listen to the president. He's a new president of UAW, and listen to him talk about what his vision is to create better wages and working conditions and to restore what was taken from the GM employee. Unions look like they're trying to make a comeback, and that's gonna be good for everybody. We know that the writers' strike seems like that's coming to an end. They have finally reached an agreement on the writers in Hollywood. Are you talking about with the Hollywood? Yeah. Okay. Okay. And they've been out for a while, and now the actors things have a way of building on each other. So one victory built on the other. So now the writers got a settlement, and they stuck together and stuck to their goals. Come on now. They stuck together. And the thing of it is that because they stuck together, and as far as we know, won what they deserve, now the actors, it gives them momentum to settle their strike. And it's the same thing with the UAW. As we hope we win. It's not over yet. We right in the middle of it. But as we declare ourselves as labor and working people to benefit and restore what was lost, it gives momentum for others. And it gives inspiration for others. And I just want to say that our city council need to take a page out the UAW playbook, because the UAW is saying, we done gave up this, we done gave up that. Of course. And we've been abandoned and everything else. We lost revenue sharing. I'm not going to get into that right now, but it was taken from our city. Revenue sharing that the state used to give us and put us in a position to lose fire safety, lose police protection, lose our garbage, lose this, lose that. So those things were taken. But the UAW is saying, time out. It's time for you to restore what you have taken. Now, that would seem like that would be a good formula for the city council. For the city council and the opera money. So let me say this. Go ahead. Let me say this, because city council is one thing, right? When we're talking about the Flint City Council and the way they operate, and then also how they're serving the people, that's one thing. And then when you see what's going on with GM, like we've always known GM to be this big, gamut of a company, right? That has, filled the country with cars. And it all started here in Flint, Detroit. Yeah. So to be able to make all that money, right? As you just said, like back when they got bailed out, you always got to remember what happened. GM and the Big Three was failing. Remember? Yes. What year was that? 2008, 9. 2008, 9, the Big Three was failing. Remember, we gave them billions of dollars as a bailout. The government. Yes. Billions of dollars for a bailout. Yes. And at that time, they took away revenue share. They slashed salaries.
They didn't hire permanent workers.
Exactly.
And they needed that money to get on their feet. So I understand when a company goes down, it goes down. But this company was saved.
Yeah.
Right. And then to the folks who's working these salaries. I remember GM being something that everybody wanted to go work at. My grandfather worked at GM. My uncles, a lot of my family members worked at GM. And it was a good job. You could retire from GM and, pay for your children's college. You can pay for seasonal homes. You can get the big boat, right?
Yeah.
All those different things, right? Boys everybody's making money at GM.
Mm-hmm.
And Flint was thriving. Flint was at a time when GM was at its height. Flint was at a time when the population size was 300,000 here.
Mm.
Think about that.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
And then now they went through the turmoil of losing all that money, right? Being bailed out and picking themselves up by the bootstrap. Not even picking themselves up by the bootstrap because they was bailed out.
Yes.
And then now, when you talk about the money that they're making now, when you talking about how much money did GM make last year?
I don't know how much they made, but I know they made record profits.
Record profits.
More than what they had ever made before. Okay?
Made more money than they ever made before, right? And then not to restore revenue sharing for the city of Flint, then also shares for folks who worked, actually worked at GM, not sharing that profit with the people that's been on the ground, continue to build this company up, right? Work through all the challenges. And to see them not try to pay union workers, see them not try to hire people who's been working there as a temp for 1 to 5 years.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
To see them not trying to slash the salaries of those executives who are making like $26 million a year. Like, think about this. You are making $20+ million a year.
Mm-hmm.
And you mean to tell me you can't up the salary of those who are working day in, day out on the ground, production, right? Even skilled trades. You got all these different factors that play a part in saying why GM is all about greed. And I just think and I always think back to even what's going on in the city of Flint. Flint made GM. GM was here.
Mm-hmm.
Flint was a thriving city.
Yes.
For GM to leave the city of Flint in the shambles that they are in right now.
That's right.
Not try to give back and support the development of Flint. Not continue to, hold some type of stakeholdership here in this city, which is in need of that. And now you do the people, you don't want to pay them because of what? Right? It's the thing of saying, like, why wouldn't you not want to pay folks? You got to pay for the talent. That's what any organization, any company. You got to pay for the talent. You got people on the payroll. You got people who working. You got people who come in, dedicating their lives to boosting this company, and you don't want to pay them. I think that's just really a slap in the face. And that's like, I think GM should be ashamed of themselves.
Yes.
Ford, and even just GM, I think Ford was making, I guess, progressive talks on their deal.
Yeah.
Right.
They were acting like they had some sense at the table.
They were acting like they had some sense at the table. Mm-hmm. What's this new company that Chrysler is under?
Stellantis.
And who is that?
They've been through several things, at one time this Italian company took them over.
Mm-hmm.
And
how do you take a company over like Chrysler?
Well,
if you've been bought out,
bought them out.
How do a third party organization or group takes over a company like Chrysler?
Well, because that's one of the features of capitalism. It's like Pac-Man.
Okay.
Somebody come in, especially if a company is in financial trouble.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Another company will come in and buy them.
Right.
In order to,
keep it afloat away.
Yeah. Or to just take it over and say, well, we'll do it.
Right.
And
right.
So that's just one of the facets of the capitalist system.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's sort of like here's a good example. Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
And now you got X, formerly known as Twitter, right?
That's true, right?
Yeah.
And
It's the same thing.
It's the same thing, but just new ownership.
Yeah.
But,
it's new ownership.
Okay. And so your lifetime, GM, you've been in the union, you've been putting it down for a very long time, you know, in labor talks, put years in.
Yeah.
How many years did you put in at GM?
I put in 30 years, all told. I worked at, I started out working at Cadillac in Detroit. And then I decided I wanted to come home to Flint. So I came back here. So it was some years I was out the auto industry. And then I had an opportunity to go back. And so I did 30 years all told.
And I know you've actually was a part of the good times.
Yes, I seen both. I have an opportunity. I've been here around long enough.
Yeah.
I saw the good, and then I seen it deteriorate.
Right now.
Yeah,
right.
Right now.
Yeah. And so compare for me. So then that way, you know, folks who are, you know, understanding what's going on now. And you know, it was some good times with GM when everybody was, you know, basking in money. To the point now where it deteriorated. So now they then took away all the surplus, took away all the healthcare, or took away most of the healthcare.
Yeah.
Took away pensions.
Yeah.
Right. You gotta understand, people didn't put in work for 30 years, and now you're talking about taking away my pension when I didn't put this work in already.
Yes.
Tell me, what is the sentiments about that?
Okay, well, I can tell you that first of all, let's talk about where the source of all these good paying jobs came from. Because I think we confuse GM and we confuse that with UAW, and we just think it's GM here paying good money. No, they had to be made to do that by the UAW.
You see?
At one point, I'm talking about the Black community right now. If you and also in Detroit, because of union wages and benefits, Black auto workers was the highest paid Black people in the world.
I don't think they heard anything.
We was the highest paid Black people on earth in Flint and Detroit because of union wages and benefits. But this was something that was fought for.
Okay.
It wasn't something the company was out the goodness of their heart. That was fought for.
The union had to fight and position themselves to get at the table.
They had to fight and make, and we are known, we don't even know this history ourselves in our own community. We are known around the world in labor circles as the home of the sit-down strike that forced GM to recognize a union for the workers.
Say that again, so
okay,
you know, people understand the magnitude of, you know, people not saying like GM never wanted to pay these type of wages. They didn't want to pay for these lifestyles, but they was forced at the table because folks stood together.
Yes,
they had a vision of what they, you know, how they value themselves.
Yes,
and what they want to see from a company that they making billions of dollars for.
Yes. And so the 1937 sit-down strike, and one of the Black people, we don't even know our history in general, and we don't know our labor history in particular. And Roscoe Van Zant, a Black man that worked down in the hole, joined the union cause, and when that strike ended, they had him carry the American flag out the plant. Roscoe Van Zant, one of our elder fighters, union warrior, Roscoe Van Zant.
We need to research that, brother. He carried the flag out the plant.
Yes,
As a strike. Or
yeah, he was on strike. He was one of the sit downers.
Okay.
One of the sit downers.
Shout out to you, brother Robert.
Yeah. So the thing of it is that these great good life that we reminisce about came through struggle. It wasn't put in our lap. It came through struggle and standing up against corporate power.
Come on.
And that's one thing that the union has taught us, but we haven't got the lessons from that because we're not even taught labor history or Black history. And so we got that through dedicated struggle is how we got to that point.
No, you know what? I think so when you talk about where Flint is, I think we are in a transition. Like, man, I'm just like so tired of, being the footstool for everybody. Flint has been there, right? And now we at a point where we have to accept where we are. Right? We at the bottom trying to rise up again. Right? But we have to have a vision for how we want to rise up, and everybody has to be united. Now, all this bickering back and forth, everybody not understanding their role, and you got all these different issues and problems taking place, but nobody is getting nowhere. Just like at city council, we got folks down on city council. Now, we elected these people, right? Even when you talk about the mayor, you put these people in office, and we are still feeling like we going backwards. It's like there's no true progression. And I think when people like, our young people, right, who coming up in this community, who want an opportunity at a high quality of life, who wants to see better, who wants to be a part of a robust community, like Flint was. I hear all the stories from the past, and I just be in awe about all the things that we have committed to doing. When you talk about the sit down strike, you talk about fair housing, you talk about all these different legacies that we have put forth that everybody has mainly benefited from. To where we are now, where we arguing about ARPA dollars, right, that was given to us 2 years ago, and we still have no economic development here in the city. We still have a failing school district. We do not support and provide, any type of help for the elders. And our young people are in disarray. You wonder why we got high crime and all these different things? It's because there's no resource here. When do we get to a point where we say, hey, listen, all right, well, you know what? We've saw how things have happened and transpired over the years. When do we learn to say, okay, we got to be on one accord? It's not just about myself and how well I'm living, but how do I leave this world better than how I found it? Better yet, put this city in a position to be a successful community again. I've seen it happen in other communities. I was down in Atlanta, and when you talk about where they were 20, 30 years ago, they had a plan to bring business. They had a plan to, bring the Olympics, to be able to be a Black Mecca. And now what we see in Atlanta, everybody is doing well. You got young people driving foreign vehicles. You got people living life, on the rise, and they just do what they think, right? Why do we not want that for ourselves here in this city? What is it so hard? Why is it so hard and so difficult for us to put ourselves in position? We don't have to depend on like GM, because I've never been one to depend on, no organization, no company, nothing. But how do we create economic drivers that we benefit from, that we are in control of?
Well, I think one of the things that we can do is learn from those who have been successful. We can do that. But the other thing, and this is what unionism, and I'm not talking about this leader or that leader, because we had some corruption in the UAW. We're not proud of it. But one thing, being involved in the union, we learn who the enemy is. That's a very important question that must be answered when you get, what is preventing us from advancing. Every time they try to take something from us, we have to clap back, but we don't do it. We clap back at the wrong thing.
That's true.
And we clap back at the wrong. I'm clapping back at you. You don't. If you half the people we clapping back at, if they disappeared off the face of the earth, we would still be where we at.
The problem won't be solved, right? You absolutely right. I think, but is that something where we fixated on making other issues our problem instead of going after the problem? Right? When you talk about capitalism, you talk about racism, we get to talking about things on the surface and on the bottom, right? Yeah. That's like that's the catch-all. That's the fallout. That's not necessarily the root of the issue.
Yes. And one of the things, the advantage that the union movement had and has, they know exactly who to go after in order to get what they want. They know they understand that it's corporate power and corporate greed and a corporate class of billionaires who's preventing them from living the life that they deserve. So that's the first thing we have to know. Not who, but what is our enemy and what is preventing us? What is it that's what? And then there's always a who next to the what. But if we don't understand that we're dealing with a system that's milk. We talk a lot about generational wealth and things like that.
We do.
But a lot of times when we talk about generational wealth, we're talking about a home, or we're talking about a business to pass on to the next generation.
Come on now. Come on.
But we don't talk about generational wealth as far as the public assets that we helped to fund and generate, such as our water system, our garbage collection.
Big one.
That's public generational wealth.
That's true.
And the corporate raiders have figured out a way to steal that, because I feel like generational wealth mean our parks that were stolen, our police force that's been reduced, our fire services that's been shrunken, our water that belonged to the public, that is now being slowly but surely privatized for someone to make money off of it.
Yeah.
So,
I don't think we think about that like that.
We should think about it like that, because it's belong to the commons, to the people.
Right.
These belong to the people.
Right.
And we have created the wealth and paid the taxes and worked and made General Motors rich all these years. And these quality of life entities belong to us.
I think if you don't know, right?
We have to think in those terms.
No, I agree with you. If you don't know how vital city assets is to a population of people in their community, then you get a front row view of it right now. We paying the highest water rates in the country for water that we are barely able to use, right?
Yes. But who benefits from that?
See, that's what we should be researching.
That's
looking up to, like, who is benefit. Like, even when you talk about the water was coming from Detroit.
When I pay my water bill, who's getting this money?
Probably folks you don't even know.
Well,
People, you don't even know where it's going to. You just paying the bill.
and we found out, not because we was so wanting to know, but we had to, we stumble upon these understandings when we get involved in asking those questions. Why is our water bill so high?
Mm-hmm.
If you say that water is a human right, then we should have access to the water.
Mm-hmm.
The water is a public commons.
Yeah.
It's a public good.
That's true.
Why should we be deprived of that?
Mm-hmm.
See, when we answer those questions, then we can get in battle formation. But if you don't understand who and what you're fighting,
right,
you're just striking out wherever. And one of the things we found out, out of every dollar, if you live in the city of Flint, every dollar you spend, 60 cents of it goes to Wall Street. Wall Street, you mean Jamie Dimon?
Every dollar?
Out of every dollar, 60 cents go to Wall Street.
Hold on, break that down to me. So
okay.
About every dollar that you spend in the city of Flint?
For water, on your water bill. On your water bill, every dollar you spend, 60 cents of it goes to Wall Street. Now, what do we mean by that? We mean that we are in debt to bondholders. J.P. Morgan, Stidel. I can't think of the third one right now. But these are the people that came in here and helped cultivate and help design the KWA situation that we got caught up in.
How did that happen though?
Well, it happened because we got what did we have? What did we have around that time? Wells Fargo is the third. All these are Wall Street people. They don't live here. They on Wall Street and they operate in investments and bonds and stuff like that. And they done came in here and took advantage of a poor, economically depressed city and managed to manipulate the situation to where they were the lien holders. They were the ones that financed the KWA. Now, what was going on at the time that the KWA was a thing? Emergency managers.
That's right.
Emergency managers.
I do recall.
Emergency managers. And the biggest thing that emergency managers were sent here to do was to dispose of our public assets.
And that's exactly what they did. And they only did it in Black communities.
Black, poor, and wealthy in assets. That was the three. That was the three things that made you like you was the low-hanging fruit. Like the emergency. Hey, they Black, they poor, and they got assets.
That they don't even realize that they have.
What? Yes.
A lot of people don't.
Because they're public assets. See, when we think of assets, we think of my house. What about our water? Right. It belonged to us. Our water system. Our garbage belonged to. That was all city. That was the public. They got rid of all that stuff and gave them to what? Private corporations. And Wall Street bondholders, so they could. Why? If water is a human right, and water is life, which we hear people hollering that all the time.
Right.
Why should anybody be deprived of it? And one step more, why should anybody make money off of it? See, why should somebody make money off of water And if we keep going where the way we're going,
Mhm.
Dewan, we live in Michigan, home of the Great Lakes,
Mhm.
Lake Huron, Lake Ontario.
Right.
Listen, Lake Michigan, Lake Erie, and Lake Superior. If we keep allowing this to go on the way it's going, your children and we gonna be Lake Michigan Inc.,
Mhm.
Lake Erie LLC,
Right.
because these vultures
Mhm.
from Wall Street
Yeah.
is gonna come in and take over. That's our asset, the Great Lakes,
Mhm.
and they done already took a little piece of it by Benton Harbor, because Benton Harbor had each city that was taken over by emergency manager. They had a different asset that was attractive to Wall Street investors.
Of course.
And in Benton Harbor, it was that park, Jean Clark Park.
Is that right there by St. Joe's?
Yes, but
Is that the land right there with them properties and
yes,
the lakefront? They wanted to
yes,
take?
but before they took them, what was it? A public park. It was donated to the children of Benton Harbor. People used to go, and it's right on Lake Michigan.
That's a beautiful scene.
It's beautiful, but guess what? It used to be the Benton Harbor would use the park to have picnics. They would use the park to have weddings. They would use the park to have baptisms. It was just there for the people. Now it's a big gate up there. You can't go in there. Then I'm put a golf club. You understand what I'm saying?
Right. See,
I'm just saying. Emergency management was the weapon du jour, the weapon of choice. How do we go in there and take these poor Black people's stuff and make money off of it?
Right.
Emergency manager. That was their. Now you were talking earlier about we need a plan. That was their plan, and they executed that plan.
And when you say they,
I'm talking about the powers to be,
and which
the
are
corporate interests, the rich class, the billionaire class.
Yeah. They come in and infringe in Black communities, take all your assets, squander the public, put you in a delusional state of mind.
And oh, by the way, let's get a Black emergency manager so the people won't be as excited about being screwed over.
It's more receptive. And like you Black emergency managers should be ashamed of yourself, just like GM. Like down there early, when he came in here in the city of Flint, right? You know, you look and see this Black man, or you see somebody in position that's Black, you in a Black community, you want to trust them. You want to believe in them.
Let me give you a good example about not knowing who the enemy is, in my view. Remember when we had the big conflict about the garbage? And we had two garbage companies competing.
Bidding for the contract.
But the enemy and what should have been challenged was either one of them companies, because what happened? Either one you choose, you done gave up your own. We gave up our own city garbage.
Because the city of Flint was
we was picking up the garbage.
And we was making the money.
Yes, and we was paying Flint employees.
That's right.
We had our own garbage trucks. Remember, Williamson bought them beautiful red trucks.
I remember that. I was a kid when it happened.
But it belonged to the people. That's what I'm trying to say. It was a public. We, the people, owned that and ran that. And now they down there. Which garbage company we on? This one or this one? How about neither one of them?
Right. Why, instead of giving that money to them, why don't we buy?
Keep our own.
So we need garbage trucks because they sold them all. You talking about the city of Flint had garbage truck? The big red garbage truck?
Yeah.
Where are they?
Well, they sold them to a private company. I don't know whether it was one of the ones they end up employing.
That's what I'm saying.
But the issue, but they had us going at each other about, I want this one, I want that one. And neither one of them was ours.
Yeah.
Somebody else's.
Right.
So we were that's an example of fighting the wrong fight.
And not knowing, instead of saying we're gonna bid on these two companies, we're gonna go into business for ourselves.
We was already in business.
But we sold them.
But that was part of privatizing the garbage.
With the emergency manager.
Yes.
By selling your assets.
Yes.
But then why, when we was at that point, we was doing them bidding wars for those contracts, for that garbage contracts, why didn't it take somebody to say, listen, why don't
some of us did say that? No, some of us did say that, because before those two garbage companies, we had our own. Mm-hmm. They took them same beautiful trucks, and whichever Republic, I think, was the one that got the fund. They took those same trucks, they painted over City of Flint and put Republic up there. Come on now. And but my point, the lesson that we're trying to draw from that is that we can get up fighting the wrong stuff and be just, I want Republic, I want whatever that other, and just getting all hyped up.
Our Republic shirts on.
And you're giving away your assets. Come on, we gotta understand who the enemy is and what we're dealing with here.
That's a sick mindset. That reminds me of where we are as the culture, right? When you talk about when you made, that connection with the garbage contract. Instead of saying like, how do we build up our own, right? Where we can create public assets, where we can develop, generational wealth, right?
And keep what public assets that we have, not get them. Keep them. We already got a lot of it.
And then build on top of it and create more.
Yes, right? Exactly.
So is that like when we talk about the leadership here in the city? Because this is why we saying, we got assets, but then we got folks that's in position that's supposed to be visionary minded to be able to see these type of traps, but then also put ourselves in a way where we can go ahead and benefit and like we win. What's going on with? So when we talk about the emergency manager, when they came in what 2012, 2011?
Mm-hmm. Well, that's when
that was like the third time. The second time we were under emergency rule.
But the reason why that year you mentioned is so important is that's when Governor Rick Snyder in 2010 put the teeth in the emergency manager law. In other words, we had emergency managers, but they didn't have that power. But under Public Act 4, when Donnell Early came in here, I mean, he could, if he wanted to, he could shred union contracts. They sold off.
What was that, Public Act 4?
Yeah. That's when we had the campaign getting signatures to repeal and overturn Public Act 4. Bishop Jefferson was heading up the Genesee County organization. And we went out and got signatures all over the state. And asked me, the union, the American Federation of Municipal, County, and State Employees. They drove that campaign to get that law repealed. Why? Because they had a lot to lose because they were city employees.
Of course.
And the emergency manager could come in and just sign a paper and dismantle the benefits they pay. They could do some of that under the old one, but the one that he was under, Public Act 4, had more teeth in it.
So when we say that, like when we say teeth, what?
He had more power than the previous emergency manager.
And so we wasn't successful in overturning that law.
We were. But we was unsuccessful when they took it away. We got the signatures on the ballot to overturn that law. Governor Snyder, during the lame duck session, that's the time in between the election and when the new legislatures come in, he repealed it.
Was it executive order?
No.
Or he just repealed?
No.
How?
He went to he had a Republican House and Senate down there. And they some of them got reelected, some of them didn't. But it's after the election between November and January when the new people come in, that's when he made his move. He tweaked it. He couldn't just executive order dish it after the people done voted. And this is one thing I want to tell you too, is that out of 83 there's 83 counties in Michigan, and all but 6 voted to get rid of emergency management. And the powers to be, and Snyder and his gang did everything they could to make it look like it was just a black issue. See what I'm saying? In other words, because emergency managers was mostly in black cities, they thought that the white residents in the state of Michigan would not be interested in it. And they thought the white people was going to say, yeah, you need to send somebody in there to them black cities. They don't know how to run their city and this and that. And that was the narrative that they was using out there to make the white residents want emergency manager, because they thought they wanted them to think this law was only for us. But that didn't work. Why? Because the white community, and I'm gonna tell you, when we was getting signatures, there was a group of people, and I can't remember where they were, somewhere up around Traverse City, and they were calling Brandon Jessup, he was like, he worked with ASME and everything, but he was somebody that was leading the charge on getting that law repealed. They were calling him and say, send us some signatures. They were Republicans. They were Republicans. They were sending boxes of signatures every week to get rid of emergency management. Why? Because it was an assault on democracy.
Right, clearly. You had no power. The community didn't even have power. But
they tried. But my point is, they tried to use the race card to make the white residents shy away from it, but it didn't work because democracy was stronger.
I respect that. I respect them for stepping up for that. And so you saying,
and they weren't just white; they was Republicans,
right?
And they let you know, oh, we staunch Republicans, but if y'all try to recall Snyder, we with you. They hated that law, and they worked hard. They would go to like abandoned gas stations and put up a sign, recall Snyder, stop emergency managers, stop here. I mean, they worked.
Right. And you saying during the lame duck session,
they repealed it. So it was law, but they repealed it because it was law and changed it into Public Act 436 and just tweaked it a little bit. So that it would, in effect, it was still on the books.
436,
Mm-hmm.
and he got it passed through
Legislature.
the
Legislature.
Michigan Senate
And House. Yeah.
So passed through the House and then passed through the Senate.
Mm-hmm.
And they went for it because he tweaked it.
Yeah.
But they were against it in the beginning. They were
But no, when I talk about the
you
people,
talking about the people,
the people, not
right.
they're the ones that passed it, the ones that was in there.
Right.
But the people
spoke up and said they
signed it and got I think it's something like, you'd have to ask Bishop Jefferson, something like 250,000 signatures. Then when it got, but that was a challenge in itself. But after it got on the ballot and it's through counties in Michigan, all but I'm talking about all up there in the Upper Peninsula, they all voted it down.
Yeah.
They wanted it gone.
Yeah.
That Upper Peninsula, that whole, when you look at the map, that whole map, they was no.
But they didn't listen to the people then.
That's right.
The folks that was elected to represent the people
absolutely
did not listen
right.
to the people.
Absolutely right.
So how often is this happening where democracy is being stamped on, right? When you're talking about people who clearly don't want this to take place, don't want no law, don't want to vote against it. But you got people who are in office who are corralled to support something that goes against the interests of the public. That is what's so frustrating. That's why people be feeling like, man, this stuff don't do nothing for people. This stuff don't work. That's why people don't feel like they want to get involved in, the election process and voting. Even my time of being involved in get out the votes and trying to elect folks that's gonna do right for the people. And then you get people in office who have their own special interests. That stuff is happening here in the city of Flint. Like, we got folks down there right now. They're not working on behalf of the public. Them people out there, getting kickbacks. They signing their soul away for peanuts. They going against what people have put them in office to do. And they down there. That's what's so frustrating with, even with Flint. I'm so sick and tired of voting people in there, and then they come in there, they give you all these grandiose ideas, and they talk about how they're gonna, change the system, how they're gonna work for constituents, and then they get in there, and nothing happens. Like, they even make it worse.
Well, I think what we need to do is, and that's one of the lessons from the repeal of Public Act 4, the emergency management law too, is that after the Snyder and his gang and the Republicans decided they was just going to thumb their nose at what the people said. But what we didn't do is we didn't stick together and follow up behind that. The whole network of people that worked on that kind of dissipated,
Because they get tired. People get tired. They get burnt out. They get sick and tired.
But what we don't do, we get them in, but we don't create a network of community to hold them accountable. See, we think once we get them in, we done did what we supposed to do.
We did our part.
We did. We voted. We got you in.
That, but we
got you in. But that we can't do that. We gotta hold the network together. Well, we gotta hold them accountable. But we gotta hold the base of our activists together, so that we can, at a moment's notice, pivot and attack when they come wrong. See, that's the part we don't complete the job. Once you get in, but the network of committee campaign to elect blah blah blah, they need to stay together.
Right.
Not just, we won, we lost, or whatever. Let's go home and wait for the next election. No. No.
That's where the real work happens. The real work started the day after the election.
Absolutely. And you stick together with your campaign network.
Yeah.
You stay with that.
Yeah.
And you keep yourself informed and engaged.
Yeah.
Because the people you elect this is not your seat. This is our seat. We give up ownership.
Yeah.
See, when we got out there and worked to get those signatures, we owned that. That was ours.
Right.
And we didn't, after everything happened in Lansing and stuff, we didn't hold our network together.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So I think we have to do that when we elect people.
So we got to take accountability for who we put in office, but then also understanding that they work for us. So we have to put forth the strategies. And if they're not working on our behalf, then we have to go ahead and pull them to the table, and we have to force the issue. It's not about just voting. I'm with you on that. It's not about just voting. Right? Everybody just think that voting, you vote and expect somebody to do the job. That's like hiring somebody and expect them to perform the job, right? No, the thing is, if you don't start making sure that you have checks and balances, keep that network together, and we have a plan of saying this is what we want to see, whether it be in our ward, in our city, in our state. We have to be like, these are our objectives. These are our goals.
Yes, we have to do that, but
not just even when something go bad. Like if we talking about, we always being on the defense. We always reacting. Like when they do something that, when they do something that go against our interests, we reacting. Like our thing should be being proactive.
Yes.
In other communities, when they see something coming down the pipeline, they don't just sit around and let that go and let it happen and then try to fix the situation. Folks, they out there from the gate.
Yeah.
They ensuring that they put structures in place that prevents any of that from taking place. They ain't got to worry about trying to go ahead and come in there to a city council meeting because something is happening, something is done wrong. No, they already there. The mission is already set, and that collective is strong. So people would think twice before they try to do something that go against the interests of the people. They wouldn't try to go ahead and put folks in a bind because they understand the ramifications. They understand that these folks is united.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
They educated on the situation. They understand their public assets.
Yeah.
They're not just going to just sit down and lay down and roll over and let things happen to them. They're just not going to do that.
No.
See,
and really, that is part of our DNA in Flint and our history, and we need to reclaim that too. We're not them kind of people.
Right.
We done forgot who we are.
We done forgot who we are. But then a lot of you legends like yourself, y'all been putting in work for a long time. And then it's a need for everybody else coming up under to play the part. We need folks out there doing the work like you and Bishop and all the folks that's out there getting signatures, that's out here making change, that's trying to keep folks together. Being more unionized.
And we have to start having, and that's something we're going to start, political education.
I think that's a need.
That's been a need for a long time. Understand who we are, how the system works, how we get played, and with a vision to changing a system and building a humanitarian society, a new America that works for all of us. We're gonna have some.
I'm with
education.
that. We need to have that political education, right? And then we need to be training all these young activists. We need folks to be interested in this stuff first and foremost.
Yeah.
A lot of times people be so dejected, they be living with everyday life and stuff just ain't going good. It's like it's kind of hard to be sitting at the city council for 13 hours. It's like it's just very difficult to do that because you got to get up and go to work tomorrow, working this minimum wage job. You got to take care of these kids in the house. Yeah. And it's a struggle. But what we have to say is like, we get our priorities together.
When you have a group and a network, you can
everybody play a part.
Yeah.
Everybody take a piece.
And
right?
everybody can feed off of each other.
Yeah.
We all. It's too much. Me out here.
Yeah.
And no individual can do what needs to be done.
Right.
That you just can't. You know.
Clearly. So this is a call to action.
Yes.
If you're tired of seeing this stuff being the way that it's been ran here in the city, folks got to step up. Like everybody want to live a good life. But how are you contributing to making that happen? How are we gonna make sure our children is not out here screaming Black Lives Matter? Or Flint, how do we create a vision where our youth want to stay here? Right? Not our population is dwindling, but it's growing. How do we change the tide? Now it's not about I, it's about what we gonna do right now. And it ain't gonna happen overnight. It's gonna take some leg work, it's gonna take some dedication, some commitment, it's gonna take some early mornings and late nights.
Yes, it does. But sometimes something happens to galvanize a big population of people.
Yeah, it do. Just like with the George Floyd situation, it galvanizes people to say, "Hey, listen, okay,
incident will help." Yeah, to help.
I need to get involved, right? And then that's when the resources start flowing. And the thing is, why you got to hit it while it's hot.
Yeah.
Why? I hate for it to be a situation take place for us to get together. It's like I compare that to like funerals. You've been knowing people all your life, your family, friends, all that, right? Soon as somebody died, then everybody comes to the funeral. Everybody you ain't seen in years, right? People flying in, people taking off of work, people taking time to go ahead and pay their respect. Well, that person is dead now. When they was here, you ain't take the time out to pick up the phone. You ain't check on folks. You ain't get together to say, hey, listen, let's spend time with each other while we here alive and well. We come, you ain't seen people in 10, 20, 30 years because of the funeral. I understand you're doing it because that person is gone. But why we got to wait so long to travesty, to like somebody get killed in the street that look like us, for us to be bamboozled on our water, for us to be played with ARPA dollars? Why do it take for us to be in a crunch for us to come together when we should be already ahead of that?
Well, we can work on that, and we can be prepared when something does happen. If we follow through and not drop things, like I was using the example of elections and getting people in and then we're gone. No, you stay together and push your, like you say, your agenda.
So this is what we're gonna start doing. We're gonna start getting together again. I know, folks. I don't care if you don't like each other or not. Forget all that, right? Because at the end of the day, we got children out here, we got grandchildren, and they need to see us what we can be. They need to see what Flint ought to be. We need to start sitting down at the table, putting those differences at the side so we walk through the door, and saying, hey, listen, we're gonna all commit to doing something and build out the future. So we need everybody who's out there on the elections, everybody who's been out there getting voter registration, getting signatures, been a part of different campaigns. We need to all get back together. We all need to all sit down. We need to look at this thing holistically. And we have to be educated. We got to talk about the issues. We got to talk about how we even got to this place.
Yes.
And then we got to start building out. And we got to start saying, we're gonna have these groups going to city council meetings. There's some groups out there right now, folks out there. But we're gonna have folks at the county commission, right? We're gonna have folks at the state. We're gonna start raising and developing grassroots leadership. We're gonna stay committed even after the vote, and we're gonna have those objectives laid out even before the vote. And we're gonna continue this on because now's the time. If we don't do something about this right now, man, we ain't gonna have no city. We're gonna find ourselves in bondage. Everybody gonna be sitting up here wondering what happened. You know what happened. Ain't nobody Ain't nobody doing nothing to change the game right now today.
Well, we've got two important crises issues that we need to take a position on and take a stand on and figure out how we're going to elevate those issues. One is the opera money. That's an immediate issue.
How much money is left?
If you find out, let me know.
Man, they didn't take that money, man. They didn't spend that money on.
We've been asking for
forensic study.
No, we've been asking for 16 million
Community
for about 3 months. Mm-hmm. We've been going down near different ones and asking for 16 million additional dollars for rehab and repair of homes of residents. We want that opera money. They've only. But
we don't want that to go through a nonprofit where you gotta have
we do
all your information sent
in.
No. Where you gotta give up one of your children. We don't got time for that. Like I'm just saying, we sick and tired of that, man.
No, what we want, and this is what we're saying. We're saying, the city like to say, well, we don't have the capacity to do. Listen, you had the capacity to take in $85 million for pipe replacement. The feds designated that money for pipe replacement and went through the state. The opera didn't go through the state. That's how come it
came straight
here into the
coffers.
Yeah, straight to the coffers. But the point of it is that if the city could handle $85 million pipe replacement, and I know it was some issues with that, but set that aside for now. You had the capacity to do that. You got the capacity to get some RFPs and bids and stuff like that, and go out here and get that tarp off of people's roof.
Yeah.
Through the city. Take some bids and help. You could have 10 or 15 companies out there working at the same time.
So you saying the city council, along with the current leadership,
yes,
can be able to develop. They
can just put in requests and bids and for home repairs and do that. If Habitat for Humanity can do it, why can't the city do it?
Are they just lazy? Do they have the know-how? Sometimes it's like maybe they don't even know how to do that. Maybe they don't know how to establish.
No. If you can take in $85 million for pipe replacement, you go out and get the contractors and get the bids, and they go out and do the work. That is not that complicated.
They may not be competent though. That's what I'm saying. They might not even know that they can do that.
They've been doing it as a city for years and years.
I'm talking about this particular setup right now. They may not have the wits to be like, okay, well, you know what? Now that we got $94.6 million or whatever the amount that came in for the Emergency Act, they may not have the capabilities of saying like, all right, well, listen, this is what we're going to do with this money, and we're going to make sure that we invest into the properties. Right? That's a benefit. That's a public asset. If I'm investing into these properties that's in the community, in the city, then that boosts the property value around the city.
Yeah. And the quality of life of the people.
Right. And that creates generational wealth. The first side of generational wealth is home ownership. So maybe I could be teaching that and fixing up on properties where the need is in neighborhoods where people are living at that have no investment. That's what I'm saying. Like maybe they don't even see it like that. Maybe they're like, oh, well, we got to go through a third party organization. We got to go through Habitat for Humanity.
Well, I'm saying they don't have to. I'm saying that's nonsense.
I'm saying this is what we be dealing with. People don't be having to understand.
What they say, we don't have the capacity. Oh,
that's what I'm saying. They be saying it.
The city don't have the capacity, but Habitat do. Habitat, that little outfit over there across from the old farmers market. They got capacity and we don't. Nonsense. We ain't buying it. Get this stuff done. get some bids in
Yeah.
and send these people out here and fix up these people. Get the top off of these people's roofs.
Yeah.
Get some insulation. The people in Saginaw, they got hot water heaters, new windows, roof repair, and some repairs are not that major. You know, a roof is a big thing, but some people might have need a leaky pipe or something. I mean, you know, home repair can cut
windows.
Yeah. Insulation.
Yeah. Insulation.
You know, and things like that. So we're not buying it.
We're just not buying it. These folks can do it. They just haven't done it.
You're just not doing it. Right. You just refuse to do it. And we don't care why. Right. See, you know, like people say, well, why? We don't care. This is what we want.
Right.
Period. End of story.
Yeah.
So we want $16 million additional dollars to the $5 million they have already, you know.
They gave $5 million for what?
They have a category, and we have went over this a long time ago, but it's the category of $5 million for home repair.
And that is going through who? Just that $5 million right now. It's already allocated.
You remember they set up this so-called advisory committee?
For sure. Right.
That's who it went through. So we don't even know all of who, you know, they send in drips and drabs of who they giving money to the council. And so far they giving it to
Land Bank
Village, over here off of the Court Street Village, got some money. Habitat got some money. No, the Land Bank was a separate pot of money that they gave for supposed to be
demolition.
Demolition.
Right. Yeah, they said they was supposed to make a way for Black contractors to be a part of that fund. That was
I don't think that's been materialized. But I
know it hasn't. I'm just saying that's what the conversation was.
Yeah, but so this is what we asking for. We've been asking for about 2 or 3 months. And different people, we had a little coalition there that support us in asking for that. So that's what we're dealing with now. And of course, the UAW strike. Because the UAW strike is a just cause. And it's an opportunity to inspire us of what we can do in that David and Goliath struggle.
You know what? I know you know that.
And I'm going to send you, I'm not going to show it tonight because I think we've been on here long enough, but I'm going to send you this little clip of the rally they had, not this past Friday, but a week ago Friday, down in Detroit. And they was marching and cheering, and they was down with the fight. Here, it was just one beautiful. Okay. And it was multi-generational, multi-culture, multi-racial. And they all had on their red shirts, and they was like, we down with the fight. And for the first time in history, we have 3 Black women on the executive board of the UAW.
Come on now.
I mean, and they're not no window dressing, okay? They not there for a photo op. They know they stuff.
Right.
I done heard them, you know, they know what they're doing. Yeah. So this is something we need to get behind. And again, like we were talking earlier, when you see everyday people that they can come and in 2019 when GM was out on strike for a while, and I went out there and supported them up on the picket line, you know, just join them at my former plant. Of course. And there was some white guys out there. I didn't even know them, you know, who they were, but I could tell they were sort of like, it's something they said, let me know they were Trump supporters.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, he's not going to come here and stand up with us. You know, this was while he was president, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, but the thing of it is, we didn't have no long conversation or anything, but I shared that to say that when situations arise, just like with the Public Act 4 emergency management,
Mm-hmm.
when people feel like their rights is being abused,
Mm-hmm.
or the court, and they understand that it's not them black people that's taking my democracy. It's the power people.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one thing that's good about the union. The union is like, we know the corporation is our enemy.
Mm-hmm.
Bam, period. They didn't run over there to the union hall and say, I'm tired of this strike. I need to go back. It was none of that.
Right.
That didn't happen.
Right. We need that fight.
That's the mentality that we have to carry into certain struggles.
So is it possible for us to develop a community union where, just like how UAW,
Mm-hmm.
is it possible for us in this community to establish a union,
Mm-hmm.
a community members,
Mm-hmm.
activists,
Mm-hmm.
leaders,
Mm-hmm.
and have that mentality?
I think that's possible.
I believe it's possible.
I believe it's possible too. But
Mhm.
again, like I said before, if we got a common understanding of who the enemy and what the enemy is, it can't happen without that.
Mm-hmm.
Those people that's picketing and going on, they know that the corporation been screwing them. They focused.
They focused. They walking out.
They out. We out of here.
Right.
And they brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You might vote for this one. You might vote for that one. You might pray to Allah. You might pray to Christian. But when it comes to this, we all in. We all in.
What y'all want to do? Y'all ready to run in the building?
Mm-hmm.
And then we putting a call out. We gonna establish a community union. We about to establish a community union where we know who our enemy is.
That's the key right there. Once you get that straight, you can move on.
We gonna fight it. We gonna fight it to our last breath. I'm motivated.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I'm ready.
I'm trying to see if I can. God, I can't stand this phone. But anyway, if you get the one I sent you, if you go to 6 minutes and 15 seconds, it just show you that rally that was down there. It make you wanna
get active.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you have.
Well, we'll talk. We'll do it next time.
We're gonna get active. Now I appreciate this. This was like, refreshing because I gotta admit too, I've been I feel like, we spinning our tires here, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And it make you just be like, you know what, screw it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's that second wind coming back.
Okay, good.
It's just like, I guess these are those energizing conversations.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we all have to go ahead and get behind, 1 to 2 objectives, right, in our community.
Mm-hmm.
Just like those folks are fighting for better wages, right?
Mm-hmm.
They fighting to be fighting, and they all got different backgrounds. But when it comes down to this fight, we all on the same side.
Mm-hmm.
I think, folks is ready, and, the city of Flint is right for it. Let's get some action. Let's get out there and beat them streets again.
Mm-hmm.
Let's be the activists that we know for here in the city of Flint.
Mm-hmm.
Let's be legendary.
Mm-hmm.
And let's stop having these conversations 20, 30 years from now. Like, I don't want to be talking about why we ain't did nothing and we in the circumstance that we're in.
Mm-hmm.
That stuff got to stop.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm excited. I'm ready to fight.
Okay.
I'm ready to get out there. It may start with a handful of folks. And that's what it always seems like. It's always the usual suspects, usual suspects out there on the front line.
Yeah.
Every time, calling it out.
Mm-hmm.
We got to be about something.
Mm-hmm.
And we always talking about, we want to we want to be somewhere in life. We want to be successful. Well, let's show it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's really be about it.
Mm-hmm.
If that means coming to a Saturday meeting to learn political education.
Yes, I'm up for it.
Bring y'all big-headed selves down there and learn political education so you know how to go ahead and fight the fight.
Mm-hmm.
So then that way we can talk about the enemy.
Mm-hmm.
And then we can lock in.
Mm-hmm.
And then have some strategies of how we gonna fight.
Yes, that's right.
That's
what we have to do.
Let's be about that now. Let's not wait till somebody else rise up to be able to do the work. Come on, man, that stuff is crazy. Mm-hmm. Let's go ahead and we all play a part. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what I'm gaining from this conversation right now.
Good. So, I'm glad. I am too. I'm energized myself.
Mm-hmm. I know. Mm-hmm. You've been energized for a long time, so you ain't. Everybody else ain't got no excuse. Mm-hmm. They ain't got no excuse not to be out there. So, let's start mobilizing on that. Let's really start putting some real legs to what we're trying to stand on, and then let's carry it out. Like, so we all bring 2 to 3 people to the table and say, hey, listen, this is what we're going to do. And we be unionizing our mindset, right? We got the mentality to fight and we don't let up. Like, it's been, how long they've been on strike? Probably like a week now.
Yeah.
But they knew these contracts was looming. And like, I know I got some of my partners, man, they were saying like, yeah, man, we're about to go on strike, man, and all these different things. Because they knew that them corporations weren't about to pay them. So now they have to go ahead and settle and get unemployment. Like some folks who are not hired in, like those temps, like they don't get the payout like union workers are getting, right?
No, if they in the union, and they all are, even though they temps and they on a lower level of pay, some
lower
of
tier.
them, lower tier. But if they in the union, they get $500 a week strike pay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But their lifestyle, they used to get more than that.
Huh?
But they.
Oh no, that's not. That's not.
Used to get more than that.
Well, that is not equivalent to what they get when they was working.
That's right.
And a lot of them are getting side jobs. Some of them doing Uber. Some of them doing.
You got lifestyle to pay for.
What is that? Where they deliver your
DoorDash
food, DoorDash and all that stuff. Yeah. But the thing of it is, when we in a situation like we are now, we come together and help them, because I learned today, for example, that, and I have got to give out a shout out to Dink Sosa. Hey, let me right now give a shout out to you in your Roadhouse Tavern, because even before the first strike was, I mean, we knew it was a strike looming, but even before they named who was going to strike, he came out and said he will provide discount drinks and discount food as his establishment to support the strike. Right. So shout out to Dink.
Shout out to Dink, man.
That's showing some social awareness.
Yeah.
That, hey, this is I'm gonna do something to support the strike. See what I'm saying?
That's right. And that means everybody can do something. Right? And that's when we talk about, even for us in this community, you don't even have to be at GM, right? You should think like that.
Yes.
You should be supporting this community any way you can. If
that's
you got
right.
an establishment, or if you got some flow, or you got some influence, or you can just help, just mobilize, right? We calling all that in. Let's be about something. Like, let's stop talking about it. Let's do it. So I'm all in.
Is you geeked? You ready?
I'm geeked up.
You ready?
I'm tired and geeked up.
Yeah, okay. Fired up and ready to go.
Fired up, ready to go. Yeah, like, listen, I'll be waiting for the action. I said I'll be waiting for the action because I'll be all in the action. I'll be all in the action, right? All day in, day out. But I think sometimes that stuff take a toll on you.
Yes.
And I myself, I've been, lately I've been, traveling out of town, and I've been doing a lot of different things and setting up business, out the way and stuff. And it's been very gratifying. But I tell you what, every time I get back into the city limits, this is what I think about constantly. When I'm sitting in this office trying to think about, like, what's the next thing that we can go ahead and do?
Mhm.
How can we capitalize, right? How can we do something that's going to put us in a different element, right?
Well, like I say, the opera situation and the strike give us a lane to work in and build in. So I just leave it like that.
All right, you know, I'm on it. I'm on the job. You got me back in, ain't you?
Okay, all right, okay.
My mind been on vacation. I gotta be. That's why I brought that up, because you know what? You know, ever since like the water crisis, but 10 years ago, right? You know, since 2012, you know, you returning back to the city, right? It's just been on the ground, and I know that, you know, you're fighting on the ground, but you're still trying to build up. Still, you know, still trying to, you know, put some things in play. Like you got things that you got to take care of, whether it's in your personal life. You got things that you got to take care of because you got folks depending on you. You're gonna have to take care of some business. But I always want to stay 10 toes down on the issues that we face here in Flint. And even when I'm hearing this conversation, I'm motivated by union workers and GM, our families that's out there fighting and picketing, right? You heard what she said earlier today, man. 5 people got ran over by a truck because they blocking the entry or whatever the case may be. Everybody wasn't even blocking the entry. Folks was just, driver was just irritated and just wanted to run over folks, right? But that takes dedication and take heart. So if you out here, you've been an activist, you've been at these community meetings, you know, which we used to hold, you know, here at the building, you ask city council, you putting stuff online, you talking about it, you having conversations at the dinner table. We calling all that out. We calling on you. We need everybody, right? Let's stop depending on a few folks, man, to make a difference here for this time.
Yeah.
Like, it's up to you. So, you know, I'm gonna get back. You know, I'm always big in the mix, but I know I got a number of different projects that's in play right now. I know you were just telling me, like, man, you know, you gotta definitely know your projects, whatever you got going on, right, and where you putting your attention to. This is something that we want to be full focus on.
Yes.
And so every day I'm gonna be here on it. We're gonna definitely get that community union together.
Okay, I love that. That's awesome.
Let's definitely get. Let's call up the truth, right? And we have a sit down, and then we kind of lay out where we need to go.
Okay, bet.
Right?
It's a deal.
Yeah, bet it up. We appreciate everybody for tuning in, tapping in. Make sure you like, share, subscribe to the Fli-City Blackout on Facebook, also on YouTube. Definitely tap in what is used. Please put that information in the comment section so we can be able to answer it, so we can follow up with you. If you like some of the stuff that we're talking about, if you're energized by some of these conversations, these points, let's get you involved, right? You can leave your information in there. You can tap in. You can always come down to the office here at 2712 North Saginaw Street at the Open Center. Let's make sure that we'll be about something today so we have a better tomorrow. Make sure you utilize these platforms. Make sure you stay connected, right? Just don't be on the sideline thinking about what you got going on in life, right? Because if you change the circumstances for us, then that's going to impact you. And so you got to know that, right? All our Get Money brothers in the street, like, listen, we be needing y'all. Big shout out to the ones that's putting dollars behind, you know, initiatives that's making sense, right? Even if you ain't out there protesting, demonstrating, whatever the case may be, you got to roll. You just got to identify it. So we ain't asking. Like, we calling you to the table. It's like, just like union. Like, you know, listen, it ain't no working. It ain't. We all standing strong on this, right? Until we get what we want.
That's right.
It may take all year, right? We talking about these ARPA dollars. We talking about allocating $16 million on top of the $5 million that's already there to help out with properties and, you know, to remove retired roofs, getting handicap accessibilities at our elders home. And we talking about investing in that. Let's see that all the way through.
That's right.
And then let's activate some of these schools, right? These buildings. Make these community centers like we used to have, right? Where we can have somewhere where we can give skilled trades training. Where we can have somewhere for our youth to play after school. Where we can have some, you know, what we did, like how they used to do with the community schools with the parents, giving them more skills. We can put those things in play. Or we can do something about this water. Let's let's make ourselves available. Let's do that.
Mhm.
And so, you know, we always got to look in the mirror and start with ourselves. So we thank y'all for tuning in. Thank you again for always blessing us with the knowledge and the intel. Thank you for just being who you are. Right. Big shout out to Democracy Defense League, all the champions over there. And, you know, Flint City, big shout out to you all. Right. We're going to change this thing around. Start one day at a time. So let's continue to get to it. Sending peace and love to everybody.
All right now.
Yeah, you know what?